Whatto chaps, I'm Magical Mike and I'd like to ask and answer a few questions about the Thief Elite specialization, the Deadeye. Hopefully I can explain quickly what it does, how it does those things, and most importantly, how it feels and if it's fun to play. But first up, let's see what ANET thinks the final Gen 2 Elite spec, the Deadeye, is all about.
The Deadeye is a thief who stalks their targets with patience and brutal accuracy. They use a rifle to snipe at long range, marking targets to harass them with harmful effects. Their mastery of shadow magic lets them cast cantrips, which gain bonuses when used against marked targets, or as their malice increases.
Sniping's a good job, mate. Challenging work, it's outdoors. I guarantee you'll not go hungry, because at the end of the day, as long as there's 2 people left on the planet, someone's gonna want someone dead. Luckily we got the Deadeye. While I've mostly been praising the ANET videos so far, this one's a little bit too vague for me. So let's talk rifle first. This is our very first 1200 to 1500 range weapon, which puts it in a scary position in terms of balance. Thief has always had very sudden burst abilities and the rifle is no different, but there are severe trade-offs that come with it. The autos are average, they add some vulnerability. Skill 2 does some cripple and gives you some swiftness. Skill 3 gives you 6 might and shoots twice. Skill 4 shadow steps you backwards, and skill 5 is where this weapon gets interesting, since it makes you kneel down and unable to use your movement keys. While kneeling you get a whole new set of rifle abilities and can only move by dodging or cancelling the skill. While stuck in place, your range increases to 1500, your autos do more vuln and damage. Skill 2 now does immobilize and gives you fury as well. Skill 3 now fires an extra bullet and gives you 9 might in total. And skill 4 is called Death's Judgment, which gets a whopping 15% damage multiplier per stack of malice that you have. And malice is a new resource you gain by using your Deadeye's mark on a target. This thing replaces your steel. It doesn't shadow step you anymore, and it gives you a bunch of new potential stolen abilities. When you mark a target, you start to gain malice over time, which gives you a 3% damage modifier per stack, up to 5 stacks or 7 if you trait it that way. After a while the mark drops and you need to regain your malice stacks, but you can speed that up by attacking your target, meaning you hit the maximum malice stacks sooner and can reap the benefits for longer. The mark also refreshes its cooldown if the target foe dies, meaning you should almost always have a marked target. I was particularly intrigued by the Deadeye's concept to begin with. Guild Wars 2 is such a movement-oriented game where standing around is usually punished quite heavily, so I wanted to get a good feel for how the Deadeye is supposed to work. The rifle is hard to place, though it can be super effective in certain situations, in open field World v World for example, but can be almost totally useless if the enemy can close distance or line of sight you to fight back. Not being able to move and requiring a large amount of setup time to build vuln stacks, might stacks, malice stacks, manage initiative, kneel down and then finally hit that perfect 10 to 20k Death's Judgment skill, well, it takes a while unless you're a stealthy sneak thief. You do get access to some handy movement based utility skills, as well as things like shadow step of course. Your new utilities are cantrips, and they usually involve creating gaps for you to exploit the enemy. The shadow flare in particular is a fun reverse shadow step for example, and the elite can be used to stealth pretty often, and as a bonus it removes revealed from you. It's definitely got some tough competition for me with the Daredevil. I've massively enjoyed the crazy mobility from having triple dodges with Signet of Agility and Channeled Vigour, so I'm not sure I'll swap immediately. However, I wouldn't say that I'm disappointed with the Deadeye, far from it, but I think that the rifle is a relatively boring weapon when you compare it to how insane of a pistol build you can make now. Just look at the crazy unload spam on these golems, refreshing the Deadeye's mark on every kill, granting you a ton of boons and exploiting a bunch of traits to gain tons of initiative to spam unload for days. Looks like it's time to grab a Stetson, lads, because
it's high noon somewhere in the world.